What is up, guys, and welcome back to another video. And today we're going to be covering the 10 worst WWE World Champions, and yes, that includes the Universal Championship, the WWE Championship, the World Heavyweight Championship, and the Undisputed Championship, whichever world title was in effect during that time. And I know this is gonna be a controversial list. Some of you may not agree, and some of you may agree, but if you don't agree with some certain people on the list, let me know in the comments why not. Anyways, let's get straight on the list with number 5, Cain. And it pains me to say that Cain was a terrible champion, but unfortunately he had to deal with some terrible booking throughout his career. Cain personally is one of my favorite characters of all time and one of my favorite wrestlers, and I wish they treated him similar to how they treated The Undertaker, but unfortunately they did not. Let me get straight to why his world title reigns were terrible. So the first time he won a WWE Championship was in 1999 when he defeated Stone Cold Steve Austin, but lost it the next night. Like, why they do that, I have no idea. But then a decade later, or maybe a little bit over a decade, he won the championship again, but it was still a lackluster reign that didn't have memorable matches or feuds, and it just ended up with him losing his championship, and no one really remembers that reign. That really does suck because Cain deserves a lot better. He's one of the most underrated wrestlers of all time. Number 9, The Big Show. Big Show is the definition of a transitional champion who wasn't really given much storyline depth or any long reigns. Big Show's first title reign happened in late 1999 when he defeated The Rock and Triple H in a triple threat match, but he lost it 6 weeks later to Triple H. So it wasn't really anything crazy, it was just a very short reign. And then after that, he defeated Brock Lesnar in 2002, but then again, he was a transitional champion that dropped it to Kurt Angle a few weeks later before the match at WrestleMania between Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar. Finally, he had 2 World Heavyweight Championship reigns, and one of them lasted only a few minutes before Daniel Bryan beat him and cashing in his Money in the Bank. And then he had a feud with Sheamus, but it was mostly to put Sheamus over, so Big Show really just did that. So yeah, Big Show really wasn't highlighted. He really didn't have a great reign. And similar to Cain, that sucks because I think these two giants could have had so much better storylines and reigns. Unfortunately, creative didn't do them justice. Number 8, Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens won the Universal Championship in 2016 after Triple H helped him defeat Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and Big Cass. A lot of people absolutely loved that segment and were excited to see what Kevin Owens was going to do for the next few months as champion. But then we saw the whole championship reign end and it wasn't so great. So let me get down to the gist of why it was not great, in my opinion at least. Kevin Owens was a coward champion, and that is not Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens is fight Owens fight. Like, that was what he was made down in NXT. That's what he came up to the main roster with. He defeated John Cena, like, in his first pay-per-view match. That right there shows you what he could have been. However, WWE creative just made him run away from Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins every single week, and that was a shame, honestly. I want Kevin Owens to win a championship in the near future when he comes back from his injury, and I'm hoping they do the complete opposite of what they did in 2016. Also, he should have had a match with Chris Jericho at WrestleMania instead of Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship. Number 7, Jack Swagger. And Jack Swagger is not a bad wrestler. In fact, I actually think he was pretty decent in the ring. But the reason why he made this list is because this guy had no personality at all, and it was actually kind of cringy at times. He's just like a wannabe Kurt Angle. Like, WWE was like, how can we make a character like Kurt Angle? So they basically copied the whole formula of Kurt Angle, but they got someone who had no personality, had no charisma, and it flopped. Honestly, I thought Jack Swagger was a little bit better as a face, but, you know, during his time as champion, he was mostly a heel. It was just a mess, and Jack Swagger needs to, like, go to acting classes, but actually, he's not even in the WWE anymore, so, like, I don't even know what he's up to at this point. I think he's at TNA or Impact or whatever it's called, but Jack Swagger wasn't so great. Let's move on to number 6, who is Alberto Del Rio, and similar to Jack Swagger being a wannabe Kurt Angle, I'm gonna say Alberto Del Rio was a wannabe Rey Mysterio, not in, like, the terms of, like, the style of wrestling he had, but more of, like, he was a Mexican superstar, that they wanted him to be the top Mexican superstar for the market in Mexico, or whatever the case may be. They had, like, somewhat of business plans, and it did not work out either. Alberto Del Rio had somewhat of a personality, and he was pretty good in the ring too, but I guess, like, he could not connect with the audience. Like, there was some relatability issues going on over there. Like, either as a heel, no one really cared for him. Like, they kind of booed him in the sense of go away heat, not like boo, you're a heel, so we don't like you for that reason. And when he was a face, like, still, no one really cared about his face run. No one really cheered him. I don't know, I just feel like WWE was pushing for Alberto Del Rio, and the fans weren't having it. Anyways, Alberto Del Rio should not have been champion. I would have given it to someone else during the time, like Wade Barrett, who would have done a much better job as champion. Number 5, Diesel. One of the top wrestling stars in the 1990s was Diesel, and he won the WWF Championship, and he actually held the title for an entire year. So you're probably wondering, why someone would have the title for that long on this list? Well, it's because he shouldn't have even been champion. So, for those 12 months that he had the title, that was literally the lowest point for business in WWE history, and a lot of people want to blame Kevin Nash for that. It was clear that Vince McMahon and his big love for big sweaty men was happening during this time. You know, a lot of people wanted Shawn Michaels, his partner, to be champion, but Vince McMahon was like, nah, I like big tall dudes who got big muscles. So Diesel had the championship, didn't do so well, ratings dropped, matches weren't the best, and it was all around just not that great. You could have definitely given it to Shawn Michaels, and people would have loved it 10 times more. These were considered the dark days of the WWE, guys. Number 4, Brock Lesnar, and I'm going to include both of his title reigns from 2014 through 2015, and 2017 through 2018, guys. Both reigns were terrible. I'm not going to include the ones before when he won the Undisputed Championship back in 2002, 2003, 2004, whatever the case may be, because they were actually good, and that's when Brock Lesnar was a full-time wrestler. But I'm going to go and specifically talk about when he was a part-time wrestler and the damage that it did to the World Championship. So, first, he won the WWE Undisputed World Heavyweight Championship, whatever it was called. I don't remember. They called it like 10 different things at one point. But he defeated John Cena at SummerSlam and won the title. And let me tell you guys something. It was terrible. But it was not as bad as the most recent title reign, which was when he defeated Goldberg and held the title until SummerSlam, where he dropped it to Roman Reigns. Guys, Brock Lesnar wrestled like 6 or 7 matches that entire time, or defended the title 6 or 7 times that entire time. Bro, no one liked Brock Lesnar, and obviously Vince McMahon's gonna say this was all a part of the plan to get Roman over, but clearly it did not work. Brock Lesnar was just there to ruin the prestige of the Universal Championship. The Universal Championship already has no prestige, so just to put in the negative levels, you just did more harm, bro. You just did more harm. I'm hoping that Brock Lesnar does not win the championship again, because I just can't handle another Lesnar reign. Number 3, Vince McMahon. Yes, guys, the owner, the CEO of the company, Vince McMahon, won the championship in 1999 after he defeated Triple H. The way he defeated Triple H was after Stone Cold Steve Austin helped him. Yes, guys. So the fact that Stone Cold helped his worst enemy, that was just one part of this horrible mess of a championship reign. But the second part was Vince McMahon actually winning the championship and derailing its prestige. You had guys like Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Undertaker win the title, and then Vince McMahon. This is just pure definition of someone who has a big ego to the point where they want to make everything about themselves. It did no good for the storylines, and honestly, I wish we could just erase this from the history books. Number 2, the Great Khali. The Great Khali was a horrible champion because his promo skills weren't the best. And when I mean weren't the best, I mean like he didn't know how to speak English, and he had a manager, and his manager wasn't that great either. So like the promos were bad. But besides that, his wrestling ability was absolutely ass, and it was terrible. Like, he could not wrestle anyone. His finishing move was a chop. It was a chop, bro. The day he lost the championship was the day that every single person in the arena was happy, not because he was a heel and they were happy for the face to win, but because we didn't want to see him have the championship any longer. And number 1, we have Jinder Mahal in 2017 when he won the WWE Championship. A lot of people, for some reason, not a lot, but a good amount of people, like saying that they enjoy that title reign, but that's absolute BS. Like, I do not want to hear that from anyone in the comments below. That's a way of me getting you guys to comment that below. But no, seriously, that title reign was really bad for the fact that Jinder Mahal ruined the momentum SmackDown Live had. In 2016, the show was on absolute fire, and then in 2017, it was just terrible. Jinder Mahal did not have good matches with people because, like, he really didn't have all these matches. He didn't have these big matches with a lot of time, so he was inexperienced. But besides that, I think it was all rushed way too fast. You could tell that Jinder Mahal got a lot of muscles, and Vince McMahon liked that, and that's the only reason he was pushed. I honestly stopped watching SmackDown Live around this time. But anyways, let me know what your thoughts are on Jinder Mahal's title reign. I really want to know. Anyways, that is it for the video. As always, I hope y'all enjoyed. If you did, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more. I will see you all in my next video.